Well, welcome everyone. This is going to be a tremendous benefit to you and your loved ones. Once you learn about Tom Paladino's scalar energy opportunity that is easy to do and works. And the other part about this is I want you to know that Tom will be talking, we have a slide presentation. He will be talking about his scalar energy pathogen cleaning, which took nearly 25 years to perfect. He's a scientific researcher. This is not the only Tesla kind of products that are out on the market. This is something that is tried and true, and thousands of people have benefited from his work. So Tom, welcome to Co-Creators Global Village.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, Kathy. Good to see you again.
Yes. Well, I'm so excited because I know how much my body responded to even signing up for the 15-day free scalar light sessions that are on your website. And it's in the chat right now, and we'll put it in the comments. It's at scalarlight.com. So Tom, why don't you, if you could, since people are new to your work and new to you, could you please talk about how you got so focused on this? Because somehow, seriously, you have to assume that lots of other people may have gotten the inspiration, but you took it to the next level to help so many people, including people all over the world. You do work for free for all these different people worldwide as a donation. So could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, thank you. This is a blessing from God. That's the best way for me to put it. I'm working with divine energy, scalar energy. What is that? I believe it's energy, light directly from God. So we're not going to speak about electricity or magnetism. We're going to speak about another spectrum of energy. Some people call that 0-point energy or quantum energy. That's what I'm working with. I'm working with a quantum instrument. I actually have a Tesla instrument, or call it a scalar energy instrument. And that instrument allows me access to that dimension of energy. So for this conversation, we're not going to speak about Newtonian physics. We're going to speak about the other dimension, the quantum dimension, what some people call the space-time dimension, which we can transcend time and space.
Okay, so
that's a lot. I know that's a lot to consider.
Well, it isn't for me, but for someone that's new to this and maybe bridging the gap between traditional medicine and maybe they're starting to understand energy and quantum physics, it is kind of a mouthful because this unseen world is starting to become more and more palpable, but for most people, it isn't palpable. There isn't an expression because if your senses don't feel it. But what you're doing is you're harnessing the unseen and creating vitality and healing within the body. I know we probably shouldn't say that H word very much, but you're assisting the system to do what it knows how to do. Yes. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that's a good point. And for the topic that we're going to consider here, we're working with non-physical energy. Scalar energy is non-physical, meaning what? This really is instructional healing, or you could call it spiritual healing. I do not practice Western science. It certainly isn't Western medicine. So let me start by sharing a photograph of the instrument with the audience. And this way they can understand what we're working with. That is a scalar energy instrument. It's a custom built instrument that works on Tesla energy or scalar energy. That is not an electrical instrument. And the way I use these instruments is I work with people or animals by way of their photograph. I'll actually take a photograph of a person or animal and I'll place it inside that instrument. So that instrument is going to access the quantum field or the force field of a person or an animal. So to demonstrate, this is my photograph. I would actually take my photograph and place it inside the instrument. Why? Because my photograph has a force field attached to it. And I can access that force field by way of a photograph. Now that, in of a nutshell, that is the beginning. That lays the framework for this new science in which we can transcend time and space. You don't have to be present. Your photograph represents your bilocated version. I work exclusively by way of photographs because I work with the non-physical instructions found on a photograph.
So I know from interviewing you before that you have followed in the footsteps of amazing other researchers. Do you want to talk a little bit about your 25 years of research? Because this, even though it is a gift from God, and God is, I feel like you're very connected with higher purpose. There's quite a bit of work that you've done besides just the mechanical part.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. So there's two inventors in specific, Nikola Tesla and another inventor, his name is Galen Hieronymus. Those are two scalar energy experts. And the reason I say they're experts, they both developed scalar energy instruments. They both were able to control this dimension of scalar energy. Really, the coup de grace is when you develop an instrument and you can mandate, you can control that instrument. So, you know, it's the difference between reading a book on golf and actually playing a game of golf and becoming a good golfer. So what's my point? Tesla and Hieronymus both were scalar energy experts. They built instruments that controlled scalar energy. They were able to direct this energy, not only to harness it, but for the energy to perform a function, a scientific function. That's the key. And I give a lot of credit to those two men, those two inventors, Galen Hieronymus and Nikola Tesla. Valid researchers, brilliant minds. And frankly, I would not be here today if it were not for those men. Those men laid the foundation. They provided the framework. And they are the giants upon whose shoulders we stand upon today.
So how long have you been doing this work where you've been working with people? I think I met you 10 years ago or more. So you've been doing this a long time, and you must have a lot of wonderful stories you can tell about results. Would you share?
Yeah, it is all about results. I'm a result-driven researcher. I've been working with this technology now in practice now for close to 30 years. I've developed these instruments. I've perfected these instruments. I've had hands-on expertise, if you will, for 30 years. And over those 30 years, I've learned something about this science. Now, to really drive home this point, as a new science, there is no textbook. You can't attend any university class and find a textbook or find any university professor that's teaching this. That's how new this is. You know, the two professors were Tesla and Hieronymus. They're both deceased. Okay, so moving forward, what am I getting at? Well, I believe in results. Some of the results I want to share with the audience is these instruments, these scalar energy instruments can look at a photograph, can detect a virus and eradicate it. Your photograph, my photograph, would contain a signal for a virus. And I could send energy into the photograph to eradicate, to actually break down that energetic signal of a virus. Now, for instance, people from Africa for years have been sending me photographs. And many of those photographs are people who are infected with the HIV virus. Well, my scalar energy instrument can look at a photograph of anybody in the world, whether you're in the United States or Africa, can pinpoint the HIV virus on a person's force field and then obliterate it or disassemble it. So a scalar energy instrument can not only identify a microbe, in this case, the HIV virus, but can break down the molecular bonds of the HIV virus. That's what I call results. I have those results in my laboratory. Now, I need feedback from the people because remember, I only work with force fields on a person's photograph. So the results that we receive are the testimonies from people around the world. And those people around the world are now telling us that they no longer are infected with the HIV virus. The people around the world are now saying that after the scalar energy sessions, they have no infection. They're no longer HIV positive. And this is from people throughout Africa, Asia, North America, Central America. So there must be some merit to what I'm doing in my laboratory. If I can pinpoint and eradicate a microbe on a photograph, then that apparently has a correlation to a person at a distance.
Yes, yes, yes. So there are some questions coming in, but I think we'll wait to the end and then ask them. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, I saw one of the questions. Only a headshot is needed, just the facial photograph.
Yes. Okay, so you have been doing this and you have thousands of people that are, or I don't know, maybe hundreds of thousands of people that are getting this process done monthly, seamlessly, without any worry, without having to meditate, without having to necessarily eat well, exercise. They are getting pumped up with vital life force energy. And that alone has got to be amazing. Have you any stories about people that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I would say that on balance, our clientele, if you will, we've worked with millions of people around the world. And how can I do that? By miniaturizing the photograph. You can miniaturize a photograph.
Yes.
Today in my laboratory, I work with 500,000 people by way of their photograph in my laboratory. So you have to understand this energy is not limited to time and space. And I could either work with one person at a time, or 20 people at a time, or 500,000 people at a time. So there are Christian missionaries, non-government organizations, charities, orphanages around the world in which we work with people free, pro bono, and we receive collages of people, collages in which sometimes in a day I'll receive 1,000, 2,000 people, 3,000 people a day. Now you add that up over the years. I've been at this now for a good 11, 12 years. You know, we easily work with 100 million people around the world by way of their photograph. The numbers add up. Anyway, long and short of it is, people around the world are reporting that they feel better. People around the world say there is some merit to this session. There's some connection here to my work and their improvement in health. Now, we have the ability to, with these instruments, to pinpoint microbes, viruses, bacteria, fungi. Currently, my advancement is to the point I can identify over 400,000 species of microbes and eliminate over 400,000 species of microbes. And you might think that's a bold statement. It is, but the energy does the work. I'm going to make this very clear. In order to instruct my instrument, I literally take a photograph of a microbe. This is the herpes virus, and I would place this photograph of the herpes virus inside the instrument. The instrument will look at the character, or would look at the signature on this photograph, and then seek to find that microbe in my body and destroy it. It's that simple. So we're dealing with light now. We only work with light. So a photograph is a source of light. I instruct this source of light to look for that source of light in my body. And if the herpes virus, which is a source of light, is found in my body, the instrument will seek out, identify the herpes virus, and break down the molecular bonds of the herpes virus. So this is a light process. There is no human reasoning that's employed here. This is not human ingenuity. This is a fundamental approach. Light is fundamental. Light never lies. And scalar light always performs the function that you ask of it. So the point I'm trying to make is a scalar light instrument will identify the microbe that you ask it to identify and break down the molecular bonds of that microbe. The result is the microbe falls apart. It ceases to exist. So I've been able to look at a process now, the scientific process in which I can identify microbes and eliminate them, eradicate them. This should prove to be of great benefit to mankind.
Yes. The other thing I want people to know, once they go to your website, that they'll see that there's multiple packages. So you can have the overall health, but you can also have the anti-aging, which obviously Tom has done, because you look the same as when I met you 10 years ago. Oh my God. But could you talk about the different packages that you offer?
Sure. One of the functions that a scalar energy instrument can achieve is to create, to assemble a molecule, in this case, a micronutrient, an antioxidant, amino acid, phytochemical. And I use this on myself on a daily basis. So 24 hours a day, I'm able to assemble nutrients, phytochemicals, endorphins, hormones. And in so doing, I stay young. In so doing, I have the nutritional support. I have the necessary fuel that I need for proper biological function. So a scalar energy instrument can actually create a nutrient. Let me demonstrate. This is a photograph of vitamin E. And this is how I would instruct my instrument. I would actually place a photograph, once again, a source of light. I would place a photograph of vitamin E inside the instrument. The instrument would look at the molecular character, the molecular structure of vitamin E, and then reproduce that molecular structure in my quantum field. So a photograph of a micronutrient tells my instrument to reconstruct this exact molecular formula, molecular structure inside a person or an animal. All of that is done by way of instructions. This is not physical science. This is non-physical science, all done by way of instructions.
Would you like to tell them the different packages? So because what I think is amazing is once you've had your 15-day free experience, then you can actually get this for your whole family. And I spoke with someone, I guess about a month ago, and who lives in California, and there was another virus going around, and she and her family are on your package, and none of them got it. So, and she goes, I think that's why. And obviously the vitality part is what so many people right now are so feeling depleted because of the chaos in the world. And this is one of these ways that you can love yourself and nurture yourself and your family, that you don't have to do anything, just sign up.
You're right. all you need to do is send in a photograph, email a photograph. Well, I like to start people off with our standardized session. And as the name implies, this is our typical session to at least educate people as to what we're doing. Standardized because it's for everyone, whether, regardless of your age, even animals can benefit. So what is a standardized session comprised of? It's a microbial cleanse. It's the nutrient program that I mentioned. And also the third modality, we're able to balance the chakras, or we're able to balance the brain waves or the emotions. What do I mean by that? Well, scalar energy is instructive energy. And with that in mind, scalar energy will serve to instruct the mind or the subconscious. Scalar energy will instruct or recalibrate the meridians. And I say that because after working with people for the past 30 years, after a scalar energy session, people say they have a sense of tranquility, of peace. Many people say that they can sleep, deep, meaningful sleep. Others say that scalar energy has served to curb, say, a vice, drug addiction, alcohol addiction. So the energy is indeed instructive. It is, if you will, in some ways cathartic. That scalar energy can correct a phobia, can correct an addiction.
Wow.
So this is what we call our standardized sessions. Again, in synopsis, a microbial cleanse, the nutrient creation, and the third program, the brain wave or the chakra balance. All of that is accomplished in the quantum field. All of that is accomplished exclusively by way of a person's photograph. All we need is a person to email us a photograph because your photograph carries your signal. Just your face. Keep your clothes on, just your bust shot. That's all we need. The age of the photograph doesn't matter either. Why do I say that? Your quantum field, your quantum signature, your scalar energy signature is the same throughout your life. So the point being, scalar energy does not experience the passage of time. In a scalar energy force field, time is always in the present moment. Regardless of the age of your photograph, scalar energy will only recognize you in the present moment. Now, these are different thoughts. These are new concepts that we have to inculcate, realizing that there is not a passage of time in a scalar energy environment. There's only the present moment.
That is so cool. I think what we're talking about is using technology to assist us in a whole different way and creating a more joyful, peaceful life, because when you feel vital life force energy like that, that's from the divine, basically, that's what our original blueprint is. You can well, you can serve the way you intended before you came into physical, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. I use the same analogy, and I think people will gravitate towards this. If everything really needs an instructions, a thought pattern before you create a physical construct, consider building a house or a school. You need plans, you need architectural plans. That's the thought process. Those architectural plans serve as the instructions. Well, by way of analogy, the instructions of the universe are scalar energy plans.
Right.
In order to create a physical universe, you need instructions, you need intelligence to perceive that.
Yes.
So what are architectural plans to an architect to build a physical building? Well, by way of analogy, scalar energy for God serves as the instructions to build a physical universe. You need instructions. You need something to dictate order out of chaos.
And we're in chaos.
Yeah.
That's what the thing is that somehow this peace of mind that this healing modality allows you to have keeps you out of that chaos. It somehow cocoons you from, especially empathic people, sensitive people. It really cocoons you to a whole nother performance level, I would say, because you can stay grounded and you're not being pulled by the global consciousness.
Yeah, the good point. Good point. So what is the point of all of this? It's a new technology. Tesla saw the promise here. Hieronymus saw the promise. I see the promise. I'm sure your audience sees the promise. A new technology. In application, it's simple, it's painless. The energy is from God. firmly believe that scalar energy is a divine energy. So I've never experienced any negative consequence. There are no adverse side effects. So this new science should be promulgated. You know, Kathy, thank you for this platform. I'm trying to get this information out there. As a researcher, I've been trying to do this now for over a decade, but in many ways, my research has been stifled.
Well, we're going to work on that. So what I would like to have you talk about again is a little bit more about results, because that seems to be because of course during this lockdown period, we have seen more and more people finally get off their devices and consider their own well-being, and maybe consider relationships to themselves and others and the divine. I mean, they have probably had a little bit of a wake-up call. So yeah, so your timing to finally get it out, it may have been that you were just way too early, Tom. At least when I met you, there were Vive machines and a few other things, but there really haven't been that many opportunities for people to not have to buy an expensive $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 machine, but have a service do something that with a monthly fee.
Right. So let me make this clear. How does this work once again? Well, going back to my initial explanation, I take photographs of microbes. Why is that important? A photograph transcends human interpretation, human intelligence. This source of light, light is fundamental. This source of light has an atomic structure, a molecular structure attached to it. When I place this source of light, a photograph of a germ, a microbe, inside my instrument, scalar energy will look at the architectural design, so to speak, at the molecular atomic design of the herpes virus. And then the way the instrument is calibrated, I've calibrated the instrument to release the atomic and molecular bonds of the herpes virus. In so doing, the herpes virus falls apart. It's no longer a viable, functioning virus. It falls apart into proteins and elements. So we take an infectious agent, we send energy into that infectious agent, instructions, and what happens? That virus falls apart. It's disassembled.
Right.
Now, I do all of that by way of photographs because a photograph serves as the instructional information, the informational input. That's the key, the scalar instruction. I have over 400,000 photographs of different species of microbes. So my instrument then can scan those 400,000 photographs of different species of microbes. And if any of those microbes are detected in my quantum being, it will seek out, identify those microbes, and then reduce those microbes into smaller proteins and elements. So you see, only light is at play here. There's no human ingenuity. And when we're working in that sphere of light, light is perfect, and light never makes a mistake. So with what I've demonstrated, I have a light process that is guaranteed to identify a microbe and to disassemble that microbe, to eradicate that microbe. So this is the surefire technique, if you will, to identify microbes in a quantum body, in the energetic body, and eliminate them, disassemble them.
This is perfect. Yes. So the thing I want to let people know is there are other people doing versions of this, but I haven't seen anyone doing something that's so easy for the participant. About 5 years ago, I was at Gaia TV, at Gaia, and my friend Kimba Aram had a Russian device that she had to actually go in and shoot each one of the viruses from when I had mononucleosis as a child. She could see it in the field, just like you're showing there, but she had to, as an operator, had to go and get each one of them to release it out of my quantum field. And I don't know how permanent that was. What you're doing is something that is so easy. Everyone should be doing this, right?
It's simple. It's deceptive. I realize that. Many people said, this is so simple. Why hasn't this caught on? But people will. Just keep in mind, this is a new science. This is Tesla science. And Tesla in his day was undermined by the powers that be. And to some extent, scalar technology today continues to be undermined by the elite, to be blunt.
Yes. So there are a few questions. Would you like some of them?
Sure. Let's do that.
Okay.
Sure.
So, and rather than using the slides, then
Yep.
Okay. So in some healing modalities, they say the person must consent for the healing. Is that necessary? So for instance, my friend that had her whole family, I doubt if she asked her children.
Yeah. Parents stand to speak for their children. Our general rule is if you are the age of reason, if you're an adult, you should sign up. Our free sessions are meant for everybody in the world, but sign up yourself. And if a family member consents, then you can sign them up. So the general rule of thumb is parents can act on behalf of their children, obviously. If you have pets, obviously you have to act on behalf of your pet. But if you're an adult, you should make that decision. We don't want to force this upon people.
Okay. And what about if a person is on pharmaceuticals from the Western medicine?
I don't want anybody to change anything about your medical regimen, your nutritional regimen, your exercise regimen. Don't change a thing. Don't change a thing. I'm not a clinician. I'm a scalar energy researcher. I stick with what I have expertise in, which is scalar energy research. So whatever you're doing today, as far as a health regimen, stay on it. Don't change. Scalar energy can be used simultaneously with any type of health regimen. Why? Scalar energy is sunlight, right? It's sunlight, and we all are experiencing sunlight since the moment of our conception.
Right.
Point being is you don't have to get off of scalar energy, whether you're on a pharmaceutical product or you have surgery. Why? It's sunlight. Sunlight has never been known to impair a pharmaceutical product.
Okay. So does scalar energy help with bone loss, arthritis, or knee injuries?
So sometimes people tell me if their arthritis is a product of inflammation, if we can eliminate microbes, if we can eradicate microbes, then the swelling, the discomfort, the inflammation is reduced. And some people say that their arthritis improves if we have the ability to eradicate those microbes that are responsible for the inflammation, for the disease, for the lack of range of motion, if you will.
So is that why in most cases people should start with the general package?
Yes.
And then,
yes.
okay. And so there's been some questions about, I don't want to get blocked, about, about the jab.
Let me say this about the pandemic. I worked with myself and family members during the pandemic, and none of us went to the hospital, and none of us were sick with COVID-19. None of us. So what am I getting at? A scalar energy instrument can look at a photograph of COVID-19 and eradicate that molecular structure. We always work with photographs of microbes.
Okay. Okay. So you have a photograph of a microbe or what about the actual jab if there's a reaction to
Yeah,
it?
I've not gotten a vaccine injury. That's not my calling right now. That's
Okay,
I don't know where we're going with the vaccines injuries that I anticipate, or many people anticipate. And I'll simply say that these adjuvants that are used in vaccines need to be clearly listed, and we need to know what the health risks are for adjuvants. Now that's a broad statement, so you have to pinpoint it for each vaccine. This is quite an undertaking, so we'll address that as time goes on.
okay. And Nina wants to know, how does this process work with cancer?
I have not perfected cancer. I cannot help with cancer. That's something that I want to address someday. I don't have the answer for cancer.
Okay, okay, but the rest, the packages for well-being would help with the rest of the system in maintaining the system.
Yeah.
Right?
Let me say this in general. Many of us have microbes, germs, and we don't know what microbes, germs we have in our body, frankly. There's millions of pathogens, germs. So this is why I came up with this microbial pathogenic cleanse. It's a process in which I do not have to interpret what microbes are in the body or eliminate them by human interpretation. Again, I use photographs, once again, of a microbe, in this case, the herpes virus, and this photograph serves as the instructions for the instrument. So that's so important to me, that we can assure people that we have some control over this microbial infection, all by way of their force field. Keep in mind, I don't work with people. What is a force field? It's your body double. This photograph is my bilocated version. I never work with people or animals. I work with photographs that represent their bilocated version, their quantum version. This is the new thinking that we have to develop for this new science. So in other words, I can be in two places at once. My photograph represents me. When I place my photograph inside an instrument, it's my bilocated version. It's my second version that's being treated. It's not me. That's different. I realize that. And that can only be realized in the scalar energy force field, in which you can bilocate or trilocate or multilocate. If you work exclusively in electromagnetic spectrum, there is no concatenation. There is no quantum entanglement. You're bound to one particular point in time, to one particular location. In a scalar energy paradigm, you could be anywhere in the universe.
And I think that more and more people are experiencing that right now. I think this is part of the awakening that we're going through, and humanity's here for the ride. And Tom has a way for you to enjoy it. That's why I'm excited about introducing you all to this work, is that the logic and the simplicity of it, the way he's presenting it, it sounds so logical, but it's quantum. And that there's no mistake that we're here right now during this big change. We need all of us that have love in our hearts and want to do right by each other to be activated and healthy right now during this change.
Thank you. So this is Tesla technology. This is quantum technology. And again, to drive home the point, this has nothing to do with electricity or magnetism. Meaning what? I work in a different dimension. There's two dimensions. The electromagnetic dimension, according to Western science, Newtonian physics, is all that there is. Well, I differ. There's two dimensions. There's two realities. I work in the other reality. The reality that I prefer is a quantum reality, which transcends time and space, in which action is always instantaneous, which is the God dimension. Some people call that the quantum dimension or the fifth dimension. There is a fifth dimension. There is a God dimension.
Perfect, perfect. So again, want to make sure people know to go to your site.
Yes.
We do have some more time though, so I don't want to cut us short, but I want to make sure people know to go to scalarlight.com. And
Yep.
the 15 free sessions are consecutive days, correct?
Correct. For 15 consecutive days, we will work with you. It's gratis. Don't send us any personal information. We observe your privacy. Scalarlight.com. All you have to do is send us your bus shot, just your face. The age of the photograph doesn't matter. The energy on your photograph will dictate who you are. The instrument will find you, your quantum field, your force field, and then we'll perform those 3 standardized functions, a germ cleanse, the nutrient program, and then the chakra balancing. They're practiced. Those 3 modalities are practiced every day. So you receive those 3 modalities for 15 days in a row. The majority of people after 15 days say there's been some shift in their health. They feel different. They feel better.
Yes.
And invariably, that's true and accurate, right? Because this is such a consummate approach to quantum wellness. Light never makes a mistake. Scalar light always performs the function that you ask of it. So there's not hit and miss here, people.
Yes.
Light is fundamental. It never makes a mistake. Light always achieves its directive. And if this is my directive to send energy into a force field and to seek out a virus, we can do so.
Excellent, excellent. So when we are looking at the future, what you hope to do? I know you go to Hawaii and you were directed there. I know you've been helping people in Africa. I mean, really, you're so generous. I just want to applaud you and put some light on the fact that how generous you are with this work, because I see feeling is believing, really. That's what it comes down to. But what do you see for 2022 and beyond?
Yeah, good point. So once again, if we're working with people by way of a photograph, which is so easy, and if I'm holding up a collage of 20 people, 25 people, my goal eventually is to get the world involved. And I would like to be able to treat at least 500 million, 1 billion people a year. And that really is tenable. This is not my offhanded remark. That's a concerted effort, yes, but eventually when people start to send us in group photographs, and today, for instance, I received over 1,000 photographs from around the world. If you add that up, and if the world gets involved, we have the ability, these instruments could treat 1 billion people a year by way of their photograph.
Wow.
So I foresee easily in the future, we will receive 1 million, 2 million photographs a day. And this will be a global undertaking by then. We're not going to do this on our kitchen table. But imagine what I'm getting at. If we can provide quantum healing by way of a photograph, and a photograph transcends time and space, there is no impediment. So what is my point? I want to heal the world. That's the point. I want to heal the world.
And that's really, we're in this transition out of the Dark Ages to the Renaissance, which is healing emotional blocks, every level of healing. It's you're working on the physical, which actually affects the emotional. So do you have any stories? You've mentioned, you barely mentioned anything about pets, but I know there's some pet lovers in the audience. Could you talk a little bit about how your work has helped pets?
Yeah, consider this. I have a dog, and my dog is always licking something. Now, that's normal for an animal. But in so doing, by licking the ground, by licking a surface, our animals, dogs, cats, horses, etc., are filthy with microbes. They're filled with germs. So many times when people send me their photographs of their pet, we see this pet, if you will, is purged of these microbes. and they no longer have these microbes, leading to their improvement of health. And sometimes we'll see a pet, a dog or a cat, perk up after a week of sessions. Now, why such a rapid improvement? Probably because they were compromised, they were diseased, they had pathogenic infection. And in a short period of time, if you can eradicate those microbes, an animal will respond, usually quite favorably. I would say also that the pathogenic cleanse serves to calm sometimes an erratic pet. So the pathogenic cleanse and the chakra balancing serve to calm down an animal, especially the chakra balancing. So people can be calm, reduced in a state of tranquility by the chakra balancing, as well as an animal.
Right, that makes sense. And the animals a lot of times are just experiencing what the owner is experiencing. So if the
Yes.
whole, if both people are on. So Noelle's saying, my pet is listening, LOL. My dog is a big licker. Yeah, they have a puppy. So is that fun? That's fun.
Yeah.
So is there, okay, so 1 billion people by
Yeah.
2029?
Yeah, that's a good, why not within the next 5, 6, 7 years? You know, many times when I speak to an NGO, I was on working with an NGO in India in the past few days, and they're going to send me every week at least 200 photographs a week. That's just one NGO. Now, these are group photographs. Mind you, we're not going to take 1 million photographs a day. These are group photographs or collages, okay? And the numbers add up very quickly. You know, in the future, I envision, let's say after a soccer game, an NGO, a non-government organization will say, or everybody who wants a scalar energy session for 15 days, go over here and sit in this section. And then you could easily photograph 1,000 or 2,000 people in a soccer stadium who agree to this. Yeah. Well, you know, those numbers add up very quickly. So if you have that participation in every soccer stadium after a soccer game, well, I could easily receive 1 million photographs of people by number, 1 million people a day by way of a soccer stadium. That adds up quickly.
Yes, more zeros. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So Tom, what else would you like us to know about this? Because I think you do a brilliant job of explaining this is a quantum experience. If you don't understand it, just try it. You're offering a free opportunity for people to try it. Is there anything else that, I mean, people are hearing about med beds and all this other stuff. How do you want them to categorize this in their mind?
You know, that's a very good question. It's a new science. We need a new language. We need a new dictionary. So I'm not the one who's going to be writing that new dictionary, so to speak. So how do we categorize this? Well, let's look back at Tesla and what he discovered. Hieronymus, let's look at my work presently. I affirm this is a divine energy. Why? It never fades. Scalar energy does not die off. It does not experience entropy. Well, it's eternal then. So it has to come from an eternal source. It must come from God. So the future is unknown, but I will say that many people, especially a grassroots effort, will bring this forward. The people will demand this type of technology.
I agree with that. And I think the more that we explain it and show results for it, I know you can't claim, because the FDA, there's a lot of laws against claiming anything, but the testimonials, if you go to the site, the testimonials speak for themselves. And the commitment that Tom has had towards his fellow man and women and dogs and cats, is remarkable. So I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything you do. And I'm so privileged to know you, and happy to introduce you to this group.
Yeah, Kathy, thank you. You've always been.